Okay, if your angle is not at the center, given an arc divided by 2, you get your angle. If you're given the angle, you need the arc angle times 2 gets you to the arc. That's really the two goals here. And then for this one, basically, your angle is formed from the arc. Again, angle's not at the center, but your arc, since it's a semicircle, is 180, so we have to divide by 2 to get to the 90. And basically, again, just solve for the x. This particular problem, you're not necessarily going to have to see on the test, but the idea, arc, divide by 2, look at your angle. If it's not at the center, that's when you do this. And again, we will have a hearty review on this next week, because you will, at the moment, I'll announce when the test is going to be, but at the moment, your test is not next week, but the following week. Because I know next week some of you have SOL exams, and I really, huh? 2 weeks. But that's the latest. But the latest I want to give that exam is the 18th. Reason being, I know there's 1, 2, maybe 3 of you who are graduating seniors. And there's really not going to be a whole lot more time left in the school year. It's basically, you're only here for, if you're a graduating senior, you're only here for another 3.5 weeks at most. And then graduating seniors, I'm going to talk to you about when finals are taking place, because you all are going to take a final. Is that phone necessary there? Because Amaya, is that phone necessary? Not you, Mr. Zalea. I'm talking to Ms. Amaya.
He used to be a man.
I know. I know. All right. So that's enough for this one. Now, the only other thing I'm going to talk about, which I'm not going to go too much into detail, which that's because the majority of you already did this homework assignment. That's why I'm not going to go too much into detail, because there was only one homework problem on this concept, but you might see this again on your test, and that's the following. So if we go to the next slide, basically, here's your deal. If there's a quadrilateral of any type inside your circle, go diagonal to get your supplementary angles. And I think your one homework problem, and if memory serves me right on your test, I think it's only going to be one test problem where if memory serves me right, I think there's only going to be one test problem where basically you just have to know the simple version. Like basically your angles that go diagonal opposite must add up to 180. So your homework problem, which most of you got back, most of you actually got this homework back. And I think couple of you were in the process of finishing it too. Basically, same idea. We'll do one problem together, maybe another, and then we'll probably just do a first few, and then we're going to go on. Because I think on your test, you're only going to have one problem of this type, but it's going to be an easy one. All right, here we go. So basically, diagonals, Diagonal angles add up to 180. That's your goal. That's all you need to know. Sometimes I might give you an arc, then divide by 2, you get your angle. Or if you're given the angle, multiply by 2 to get the arc. So we're only going to do a few of these. Not going to do them all. All right, first one. Basically, the first one is going to be the most important one. This, if you understand this problem, you're going to, I guarantee you get 2 points on your test. So basically, you have to go diagonal. So first off, if you look at angle J, which one is totally opposite? Like,
L.
It's going to be L. So angle J plus angle L, that total has to add up to 180. So if you want angle J, oh, I'll put angle J plus angle L is 180. Well, I should really put measure. Yeah, I'll make it officially correct. But do we know one of these angles? Do we have a measure for one of these? Well, do we know what angle J is yet?
No.
No, but do we know what angle L is?
Yeah.
How much is angle L?
92. Oh, no.
Yeah, you're right, it is 92.
Okay, so it's J 118.
No, 118. No. Well, if we don't know what angle J is, how can we always indicate an unknown? What do we always do?
Subtract 180.
Okay, well, you can do that. That's your goal. You're going to have to subtract 180.
88.
In the end, it will be 88. But anytime you don't know something, you always mark it with as a variable. You mark it as an X. But yeah, you just subtract. So Dennis, you're right. It's going to be minus 92. Minus 92. So 180 minus 92. That's all you do. And there you go. You get your 88 degrees. Again. So 180 minus 92 is 88. So your X is 88. Okay, what about the other way? So angle K, what's opposite of angle K? If I'm angle K,
M.
M, good. So M plus K has to add up to 180.
J 145.
Careful. Wait a minute. I don't know why the front row does. Okay. Front row still doesn't have calculators. All right, come on. Step out here and then you gotta pass one. Somebody pass one all the way down to 80, please. Sorry, you all. A big one here. All right. You're close. So 2 add up to 180. Measure of angle M is 45. Hold on. So it's 45 plus something. Now, pick another letter besides X so we don't get confused. Somebody pick another letter. Any other letter except for JKLM or O. Somebody pick another letter. Perfect. We'll go little r. So 45 plus r, we'll say, is 180. But how do we solve for r? What do we do with the 180 and the 45?
Subtract.
That's all you do. It's actually that simple, ladies and gentlemen. So, what would be 180 minus 45? There you go. That's it. 135. Here, 180 minus 45 is 135. Okay, questions? Basically, that's going to be to the extent of this problem. And we might do one more just so we review. And then we're going to go to Unit 8, Lesson 3. Maybe not that one. Oh, maybe. Oh. I'm just seeing which ones were left. All right. I think the only other one we're going to do, maybe it's going to be one or two. You know what? All right, real quick. We're just going to do the next two, and then the last three from this packet we're just going to not even worry about. All right, so any more questions on this one? Basically, go across. Your angles have to add up to 180. Anytime you see quadrilateral inside a circle, opposite angles add up to 180. That's all you need to know. Now, the only reason why I might do the next two, one of them is because we still need to think about non-central angle and its relationship to the arc. And then the other one is just a general problem-solving practice, which some of us still need to do. And then after that, we're going to go right into Lesson 3 because everything else, this was like the last real concept you need to know for the homework. So we're just going to do a little review, and then we're just going to go right to the new lesson. All right. So here we go with the last couple problems, and then we'll go from there. All right, this one. All right, take out your Unit 8, Lesson 2. You actually did that homework, so you might not be in the worst shape.
Oh, yeah, I did.
So yeah, I know you did it already. All right. Got a majority of the full house here. Cool. Okay. All right. So here's what we have going on here. Y and W, you're going to get right away. Now, what have I told you all about? Let's say you have, do you have to go in ABC order necessarily? This, did I ever tell you all you had to solve for like everything in alphabetical order? Yes or no? No, you don't. Here's an example. Okay, we have angle Y right here. He gave us Y is 51 degrees. Which angle is opposite angle Y? Is it V, W, or X? So you're at angle Y. Which angle is directly opposite angle Y? V, W, X. Pick one. You have 1 in 3 shot to get it right. W. So that means V plus W has to add up to 180. I mean, Y plus W is 180. Sorry. Well, can we figure out right away what angle W will be? So Y plus W is 180. Y is 51. I'll just say 51 plus W. Well, can we solve for W, given this information? Yeah or no? Do you have enough information to get the angle for W? It should be as simple as, you have calculators? One number plus 51 gives us 180. That's all we need to know. You can tell us.
$180 minus what?
Oh, what number? What's the other number you see?
Oh, 51.
So subtract those two numbers. What do you get?
129.
Yeah, you get 129. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, you get 129 right here. Okay, now, that's the easy part. Here's the slightly more difficult, but it's not so bad. They also gave us this arc measure from here all the way to here. Well, they split this up 101, 67. However, grand total of your circle is how many degrees? 360. So they gave us 101. It goes like that. They also gave us 67. What would be helpful is how much is remaining. Can we figure out how many degrees is remaining in this circle? That's going to be the key step, because if we get this step, you're going to get you're going to get the other two. You'll get V and X without any problems. So we have 101, we have 67. What's the total? Well, how many total degrees do we have so far? With the 101 and the 67. How much is that in total? 168. Good. But now, if we have 168 so far, we need the remaining amount. Can we get the remaining amount? Can we get the remaining amount from here all the way to here? Can we get that remaining? What do? Bingo. So this remaining amount right here, from here all the way here, and this again is kind of a review of what we've been doing. It's going to be 360 minus 168. So you'd have to subtract 360 minus 168. Sorry about that. So let's do our subtraction. What's 360 minus 168? So that's from here all the way to here. So how many degrees is it from Y pass through X all the way to W? How many total degrees will that be for that arc? So what's 360 minus 168? We have calculators. Let's use them.
192.
192. All right. Let's talk about the 192. So this entire arc is 192. So the arc is 192. Now, which angle is totally opposite from this arc? Which angle is totally opposite from this arc? Or I should say, which angle / which letter does not touch this arc? You have 4 letters, V, W, X, Y. Which letter does not touch the arc? Here's your arc. Y, X, W. It's 192. Which letter out of the 4 does not touch this arc? Which letter out of these 4 letters, V, W, X, or Y, does not touch this arc? What I have in red, which one of these 4 letters? Who could tell us? Which is the only letter that's not getting touched by this red arc here? Why's getting touched?
On the
It's V. V is going to be your opposite angle. And that might be another way. Well, this one's going to be pretty easy. So now is angle V in the center of this arc or the circle? Where's angle V located? Is it at the center or not center? Okay, here's angle V. Is that center or not center? Center or not center?
nonsense.
Not center. So since V is not center, then this arc, 192, do we keep that angle or what do we divide? Or are we dividing by 2? So if angle V is not at the center, and angle V is formed by this opposite angle, this opposite arc here, the arc's 192, do we keep the 192 or do we divide it by 2? V's not at the center. So if your angle's not at the center, you have to divide by 2. So now we divide 192 by 2. And what do we get? You have calculators right in front of you. 96. So this angle right here is going to be 96. The reason being, this arc is opposite your angle. So angle V is going to be 96. Now, do we have enough information to get the last angle? Yeah or no? Do we have enough information to get that angle X? Well, first off, angle V, which angle is opposite angle V? Who's opposite X? So what must angle V plus angle X add up to be? So angle V plus angle X must add up to be how many degrees? They're opposites, that means they add up to? What number is this?
So it's 84.
84 is going to be angle X, yes. Because they have to add up to 180. Good, Eric. That's basically what's going on here. All right, questions. Again, it goes back to look at your arcs. If your angle's not at the center, divide your arc by 2 to get to your angle. Similarly, if you're not at if your angle, multiply by 2 to get to your arc. And actually, there could have been one more way this problem could have been done, but it would have been a little more complicated. All right. But again, those are, remember, we're using the same rules we've been going over lots of times. All right, questions? All right, last thing I want to do, real quick, I'm just going to show you a tip for the next slide, but then we're going to go on. Because the last two you're not going to do. We're not going to worry about the last two. The only other thing I want to mention, and this is actually from earlier, it's right here. Opposite angles of a quadrilateral, they must add up to how many degrees again? So this angle plus this angle, angle E, plus angle G must add up to how many degrees? Again, because you're going to need this for your test, maybe your final as well. And yes, you do have a final in this class. So what must the two, so the two have to add up to 180. Who could tell us really quick what's our setup for our equation going to be? We do our equation. What's our setup? Get the setup, and then we'll go from there. Angle E was how many degrees?
68.
It's going to be 68. Okay. Plus, what's angle G?
I got the bottom after this problem.
After this. All right, well, really quick, what's angle G?
9x minus 5.
9x minus 5. And the grand total of the two angles has to be?
80.
All right, now, do we have enough information to solve for this? Can we solve for x given this setup?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Well, okay, now beware. Some of us in the past have made this mistake. The 68 and the -5. Since they're on the same side, do we have to do opposites or just combine the two terms? Who remembers? 68 minus 5, same side. Do we just combine them or do we do opposites? What do we do here? Because a lot of us make that mistake. Because they see the -5, they want to add it here and here. All you do is just combine. So really, 68 minus 5 right away gives us what? What's 68 minus 5? It's real simple. Subtract the two problems. What do you get? 63. So it's really 63 plus 9x equals 180. There you go. That's your setup. And then you should be able to figure x out from here, which I'll give you, but you should know how to do it by now. Because if you don't know how to do this, again, this is Algebra 1 material. So your x in the end will be 13, but you're going to find that. But again, the goal is you want to go from here to here. Diagram, equation. That's your goal. Diagram to equation. All right. The last two, just going to kick out. Don't even worry about the last two.
Can I go now?
Yeah. Where's your agenda?
Don't have it.
You need to find one, get one, whatever. Take a dive. Don't be 45 minutes now. All right. So last two, just cross out those last two. You're not even going to worry about them. As long as you understand the opposite angles add up to 180. That's all you need to know. All right. So you get them last two. Don't even bother. If you want to try them, you can, but you don't have to. Oh, nope, I don't want that. And this one, cross it out. You don't need that. All right. So now we're going to start a new one. New lesson. Basically, it's just following the rules. You understand the rules? You'll be good to go. Now, this is a graded note activity. Yes, please. So, two more. Set them down, and then. One, two, three. Oh, you might need a few. Oh. I have a few extra pieces in there. Cross them out. Well, you gotta wait, somebody's out. All right. What's that? We're gonna start this right now. Yeah. Okay, for the rest of the period, we're gonna do Unit 8, Lesson 3. Let's see. All right, basically, here's what's going to happen. Now, your two lines are not going to meet at the center. So basically, what's going to happen is you're basically going to be taking the average of your two arcs to get your angle measure. That's really what's going on here. So it's basically, if the two lines don't meet at the center, the opposite arcs are the you have to take the average of the two arcs that are formed from the two opposite arcs. Take the average to get your angle. So basically, that's what's happening here. So let's say, for instance, give you an example real quick. Let's say I'm just going to make up something. Somebody give me two odd numbers, for instance. Somebody give me any two odd numbers that come to your mind. I don't care what they are. Somebody give me an example of two odd numbers.
33.
Okay, that's one of them. All right. Okay, that's a good start. I need another odd number. 149? All right, that works. Okay, if we add those two numbers up, 33 and 149, add them up, what do you get? Okay, 182. So let's say that's the sum of your two arcs. And then if we want to take the average, well, how many numbers did we add up? So we're going to divide 182 by, okay, that's basically what's going to be happening here. Basically, you're taking the average of your two arcs. So let's say if you had a 33-degree arc, I'm just making up something. This guy was 33. This guy would be 149. Then you'd have a 91, 91. Your angle would be 91, 91. Now don't forget, the other thing you need to remember too, this goes back to basically Unit 1 and 2. What do we know about the relationship of the angles that are across from each other? They are, let's say this is angle A, this is also angle A. Why would these two angles have the exact same measure going across? Who remembers why? Begins with a V. Vertical angles. That's another thing to remember from back in the day. That's also going to help you for this. Vertical angles, that's going to be another key. And then also don't forget, if your angle's going across a vertical, if they're side by side, what must the sum of the two angles side by side add up to be? Anybody remember? So let's say you have basically you're going down like this, boom. 91, 91. Then what must, can I get this angle right here, or this angle right here? Do I have enough information? Yeah, you do. Because what must the sum of the two angles that are next to each other, what must they add up to be? Yeah, don't be an hour, but yeah. How much? 180. So yeah, it's 180 minus 91. So if we subtract 180 minus 91, what do you get? There you go. So these are going to be rules to remember. That one's 89. This top one's going to be 89. Yeah, it's a new one. This is going to be graded too. Yeah, it says graded notes. This one's going to be a graded notes. Now, I know we're probably going to finish it up next time, because we're not going to get through everything today. But yeah, remember, these are rules. That's basically what we have going on here. You take the average of the two arcs going across. But also, if you have an angle here, you know your two angles are going to be congruent. And then these two angles side by side are going to be supplementary. They add up to 180. So all of our angle rules from back in the day are coming back again. That's why I told everybody, learn those angle rules. Learn them well. You're going to see them again. Questions before we really get into the meat of this lesson here. All right, here we go. And then, all right, so here's what we have going on here. You see that our goal, how many, we're given what? What are we given here? Arcs or angles? What's given to us? 45, 109. Are they arcs or angles? How many? Two arcs. So we're given two arcs. So what we need to do is, goal is we need to find AED, this angle right here. I'm going to highlight it. We don't know this angle yet. Now, what do we know about this angle and this other angle right here? What do we know about their relationship, about the two angles that go directly across? They're congruent. We don't know what this guy is, but that's all right. But this is why we get the 2 times the angle, because this angle and this angle are directly the same. So basically, we're just trying to figure out. So we got 2 times angle, which we don't know. We're going to mark it as an X, equals the sum of the 2 opposite arcs. Well, here's one of your opposite arcs. Look this way. 45. Plus, look this way. Those are your opposite arcs. 109. Now, do we have enough information to figure out this angle measure? Do we have enough information to get this angle measure? Yeah, we do. Well, first, what do we do with the 45 and 109? All right, what do we get when we add them? All right, that's step number 1. And then what are we going to do with the 154? Do we say 154 we're done, or divide by 2?
77.
It's going to be 77. 154 divided by 2 is going to be 77. So this x is going to be 77. This angle right here is also going to be 77. Because there may be problems where you have to get this angle, but then get the linear pair. You got to figure out, okay, my angle right here is 77. What might this angle be over here? But that's easy. Because you just subtract it from 180, you're good to go. Questions? So yeah, these are going to be the types of problems we're going to be dealing with. So find your angle, look directly across. Now sometimes they're going to give you a mixture. They might give you an angle and an arc. You have to find the other arc. But can that be done? That can still be done. Basically, you just follow this. Follow this rule right here. Whatever your angle is, multiply it, and then subtract your arc values. So that's another way you can do this. Anybody have any questions? So basically, look at your angle, look at your arcs, and then use this relationship. All right, here we go. Well, I kind of gave you this one. So this next one, you're going to have to find both angles now. XWZ, which right here. Now, we don't know it. We don't know that one, but we do know that 2 times your angle measure is going to be the sum of these 2 arcs. So I kind of gave that to you here. So let's figure this out. Let's add up our 2 arcs. 43, 81. But again, you need to understand where your angle is. What's 43 plus 81?
124.
124. But what's 124? What do we have to divide 124 by to get our value of x? Which is angle XWZ. All right, bottom up, what do we get? 62, good. Now, to get YWX, this angle right here. If I want to get this one here, what can we do? Well, what do we know about the sum of these 2 angles? The sum of these 2 angles has to add up to how many degrees? Well, what must the sum of our 2 angles here add up to be? So they form a straight line. A straight line is always how many degrees? 180. So Therefore, this angle is going to be 180 minus 62. So 180 minus 62 is going to get you this other angle.
Can I use the bathroom when Brian comes back?
Yeah. Remember, you have to get what you miss. So 180 minus 62 is going to be how many degrees? There you go. Again, it goes back. Again, this is all angle relationships. Straight line is 180. Remember, this whole grand total is going to be 180. That's where we get. So that's where you get the 180. It's a straight line angle. That's your grand total. If you already have 62, you need 118 more. Okay, questions on this problem here. All right. Now, this is going to be a little different. Unlike before, you know how you had either two arcs? But now I only gave you an angle in an arc. So our goal is we need to find one of these two arcs. Now, what I always tell students, look at your angle, go opposites. You can label it arc 1. And then arc 2. Now, do we know what arc 1 is off the top of our heads? Do we know that value? If we don't know it, how do we mark it? What can you use to mark an unknown? Well, how do we mark any unknown? X. All right, put an X. So arc 1 is an X. Now, if you labeled this arc 2 and arc 1, that's fine too. So if this is an X, then arc 2 must be how many degrees? Labeled it right here. And then what's our angle measure? How many degrees is our angle here?
62.
All right. Just don't be surprised if you see this on a test. Like any one of these first three problems we've done. So then what's 2 times 62? All right, now, do you have enough information to solve for your x?
Mr. But she does another job through the phone.
Okay, don't worry about that. Worry about making sure you understand what's going on here. That's what you need. You need to worry about that more than anything else. All right, so how do we solve for x? What's our last step? Plus or minus 74. If x plus 74 is 124. So what's 124 minus 170? I mean, what's 124 minus 74?
50.
There you go. X is 50. So basically, anytime you have this type of diagram, if they don't meet in the center, label your two arcs, and then it's going to be 2 times your angle, which is in the middle. Boom, there you go. That's your setup. That's all you need to do. All right. Then the last one's going to be similar. Last problem that we do is going to be similar to this problem here. But now there's a little more work to this, but it's not that bad. Because this next problem, here's what they want us to find. You're there and back. That's it. Only gonna be 15 minutes left on period. All right. They want us to find this arc. So you want to put it as arc 1? That's fine. Then which arc is arc 2? Which arc is arc 2? Because if this is arc 1, where is arc 2? Our S is going to be arc 2. Very good, Noe. Then the goal, arc 1 plus arc 2 equals, is it the angle or 2 times the angle? It's going to be 2 times your angle. Opposite angle. Now, do we know what this opposite angle is yet? Can we find it? You can. Because what do we know about the sum of these two angles right here? 79 plus this other angle is how many degrees? What must the sum of these two angles add up to be? 90. Not 90. Rather than 90, it is, what's half a circle? Semicircle. 180. So 79 plus something must give us 180. So how do we figure out that's something else? So 79 plus something is 180. 101. So our opposite angle, is it the 79 or the 101? So we're going to multiply 2 times 79 or 2 times 101? So arc 2 is 95. What's what's opposite? Is it 79 or 101? The 101. And then arc 2 we found out was 95. Do we know what arc 1 is yet? We don't know it yet, but we can find out. Now, what's 2 times 101? Okay, so we have x, 95, it's 202. And then to get our x, what do we do to get the x? What's our last step here? That's it. Yup, there you go.
No.
So let's subtract the two numbers. What do we get? So then arc 1, this arc right here is going to be 107. Again, I need to mark mine. All right. So again, look at what's given to you. Look what you need to find. Look directly across. That's your goal here. All right, questions on the... And then again, we're going to review this a little more probably next time. Because I know it's going to get a little crazy. I know the schedule gets really insane on Friday, and then next week gets a little crazy too, but the dust will be settled. All right, questions? And then the last thing we're going to talk about for today, so don't lose these notes, but the last thing is kind of what we started talking about at the beginning. Half of one of your angle, half of the angle is the arc and vice versa. And I think when we do our review for the test, I think it's just basically look at, understand the trend. Look at, here's my diagram, this is what I need to do. That's basically going to be the goal for Unit 8. And you will be allowed 1 page of notes, front and back. I will make that announcement again. Please make your notes. You will probably need this for this test. Last unit test, let's end it strong. All right? And then also remember, there is a final in this class. All right, so real quick, so we're just going to talk about the next 3 slides in a nutshell, and it's just like before, like similar to before, where basically if your angle is right on the line between the circle, then it's your angle is half the arc, or your arc is double the angle. That's basically it. And then again, your two angles add up to 180. And then we'll talk about that more again. And then your entire circle adds up to how many degrees? Your circle is 360 degrees. Don't forget that. So your arcs add up to 360. The two angles in a line add up to 180. That's basically same as before. So nothing's really changing there. So what we'll do real quick, basically, going half, double, or double, half, whatever which way. And then don't forget, circle, 360. All right. So it's similar to before. All right. Given the arc, 192. If I want to go to this angle right here, DBA, what do I divide 192 by to get that angle? Divide by 2. What's 192 divided by 2? So 192 divided by 2 is 96. So boom, there's DBA. Now with DBC, what do we know about the sum of the two angles? They have to add up to angles, 180. The two arcs add up to 360, but the two angles just add up to 180. So basically, quickest way to get this angle, what can we subtract? What two numbers did we subtract to get that angle? The grand total is 180. 180 minus 96, yep. That's how many degrees? What's in it? 180 minus 96? There you go. 84. Now, what you could have done from the angle, if you went to the arc, multiply by 2, what's 84 times 2? You didn't have to, but you could do it. What's 84 times 2? And then if you add up, what's 192 plus 168, real quick? There you go. That's how it works. Circle adds up to 360. Sum of your two angles adds up to 180. Basically, the other problem is similar. Last one's basically the same idea. Because we're going to go from angle to arc. We're not done yet. I have an angle. We first go to this arc. What's 151 times 2? So here's your arc. X, Z, Y. If I want to get that arc, what do I have to multiply my angle by? Huh? Times 2. So what's 151 times 2? 302. And then if I want my other arc, if I want this arc, what do I, remember the grand total was how many degrees? Grand total of our circle is how many degrees, people? 360. So what's 360 minus 302? It's 58. And it works because this angle right here, this little angle, what's 180 minus 151? Somebody get me that. Somebody get me that real quick. 180 minus 151, what do you get?
29.
29. So 150, and then 29 is half of 58. So again, that's how more than likely you're going to see a test problem like this. I'm telling you that right now. All right, here's the deal. We're probably going to wrap up these notes probably next time, depending on what goes on. Yeah.